Good day, everyone. For today's discussion, we will talk on the science of cybersecurity and the security of cyberspace, vectors, occurrence, and damage. So it clearly states on the title that what we are going to learn about is the science of cybersecurity and the security of cyberspace. The title tells us we are looking at the big picture of online safety. And then the subtitle are breakdown into three key parts, which are vectors, occurrence, and damage. Vectors simply means the different ways or process that the attackers use to break into our computer system. Next is the occurrence. It refers to how often these attacks happen and where they are most common. Finally, damage will explore the real world consequences of these attacks, such as financial loss or data theft. So, this slide will set us the stage for our entire discussion, giving us a clear roadmap of what to expect. So, we have here the next slide, which is understanding the foundation of cybersecurity. First is we will have the definition of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity encompasses the practices, technologies, and processes designed to protect networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access, attacks, and damage. It is a multidisciplinary field that integrates principles from computer science, information technology, and risk management. So basically, there is a clear definition of cybersecurity, explaining that it is all about protecting our digital world from our computers, phones, networks, and data from being harmed or stolen. It is not just one thing, but a combination of technology, rules, and smart practices. And the next is what is the importance of cybersecurity in the digital age? In an era where digital transformation is ubiquitous, cybersecurity is paramount. It safeguards sensitive information, ensures the integrity of system, and maintains trust in digital interactions, making it essential for both individuals and organizations. So basically, it highlights why cybersecurity is very important today because we live in a digital age where almost everything we do, gikan sa banking, hantod sa talking with friends, everything happens online. That is why cybersecurity is what keeps our personal information safe, making sure that every website that we visit and every apps that we have used work correctly. And also, it allows us to trust the digital services we use every day. And then lastly is we have the overview of the presentation structure. This presentation will explore the multifaceted landscape of cybersecurity, including current threats, type of attacks, frameworks for protection, and the evolving role of technology and human factors in maintaining security. So basically, this slide will serve as our guide, giving us an overview of what is coming next in the presentation. It tells us we'll be looking at different threats, type of attacks, and the method that we will be using in order to protect against them. This is the foundation that we need to understand the more detailed topics that will be discussed in the following slide. Now is we will discuss the landscape of cybersecurity the current trends and key players. So this slide gives us the big picture of what is happening in cybersecurity right now. Think of this as a landscape, as looking out over the entire field to see what is going on. So first is we will discuss the current state of cybersecurity. The cybersecurity landscape is characterized by an increasing frequency and sophistication of cyber threats, necessitating robust defenses and proactive strategies. Organizations are investing heavily in cybersecurity measures to combat these evolving threats. So when we say current state, it tells us that attacks are not only happening more often, but they are also getting smarter and more complicated. So it means that our defenses should have to get smarter too. Next is the global statistics on cyber threats. Recent studies indicate that cyber attacks are occurring at an alarming rate, with millions of attacks reported daily. The financial impact of these threats is staggering, costing businesses billions annually in damages and recovery efforts. So the second point states that global statistics put some numbers on the problem. It confirms that this is a massive global issue with millions of attacks happening every single day. The cost is also huge, costing business billions of dollars, which shows just how serious the damage can be. And then lastly, the key players in the cybersecurity field. The cybersecurity ecosystem includes a diverse array of stakeholders such as government agency, private sector companies, and non-profit organizations, all working collaboratively to enhance security measures and share threat intelligence. So finally, we have our key players. It explains who is involved in fighting back. It is not just one group, but it is a team effort that includes government setting rules, private companies building security tools, and non-profit organizations or groups sharing information. All these players must work together in order to create a safer cyberspace for everyone. So we have here the types of cyber threats. So this slide will introduce us to the four of the most common type of cyber threats, which are like the different tools an attacker might use. First is we have the malware or the malicious software. It encompasses a variety of harmful programs designed to infiltrate and damage systems. These include viruses, worms, trojans, and spyware, each with unique method of attack and impact. So, when we say malware, again, it is short for malicious software. Think of this as any program designed to be harmful, like a computer virus that spreads or spyware that secretly watches what you do. Next is we have the phishing. Phishing attacks exploit human psychology by tricking individuals into revealing sensitive information through deceptive emails or websites. This attack can lead to identity theft and financial loss. So, when we say phishing, this is just like a trick wherein attackers send fake emails or create fake websites that look real, trying to fool you into giving them your passwords, credit card numbers, or other personal information. Next is we shall have the ransomware. Ransomware is a particularly insidious type of malware that encrypts a victim's data, rendering it inaccessible until a ransom is paid. The rise of ransomware attacks has prompted organizations to prioritize data backup and recovery strategies. So, when we say ransomware, this is a particularly nasty type of malware that locks up all your files and data, making them impossible to open. The attacker then demands a ransom payment, usually in cryptocurrency, to unlock your files. Lastly, is we have the DDoS attacks, or the distributed denial of service. It is an attack that overwhelms a target's resources, rendering services unavailable to legitimate users. These attacks can disrupt operations and cause significant financial losses. So, DDoS attacks are different. So instead of stealing data, their goal is to shut down a website or online services. They do this by flooding the service with so much fake traffic that it gets overwhelmed and can't serve real users, like creating a massive traffic jam that blocks everyone. Next is we have the vectors of cyber attack, understanding how attacks are executed. So this slide explains the how, or the process, or the different path or method that the attackers use to get inside a computer system. So these paths are called vectors. So first is we have the common attack vectors. Cyber attack can be executed through various vectors, including email, web applications, and unsecured networks. Understanding this vector is essential for developing effective security measures. So the first point is the common attack vector. It lists the usual suspect, such as a malicious email, a vulnerability in a website, or an unprotected Wi-Fi network. And then next is we have the social engineering. Social engineering exploits human behavior to manipulate individuals into divulging confidential information. This can include tactics such as pretexting, baiting, and tailgating, making it a significant threat. So when we say social engineering, it is a very important vector that doesn't rely on code. This is the art of human manipulation, tricking someone into just giving up the password. It is a type of an attack on a person's trust, not on the computer itself. Next is we have the network vulnerabilities. Weaknesses in network configurations, outdated software, and unpatched system can serve as entry points for attackers. Regular assessments and updates are critical to mitigate these vulnerabilities. So, when we say vulnerabilities, it is just like leaving a window unlocked in your house. If a company doesn't update its software or forget to set a password on a system, it creates an easy entry point for an attacker to sneak in the company's computer system. Lastly is we have the insider threat. Insider threats arise from individuals within an organizations who may intentionally or unintentionally compromise security. This can include employees, contractors, or business partners, highlighting the comprehensive security policies. So when we say insider threats, they are a special kind of vector because the attacker came from inside the organization. This could be a disgruntled employee who wants to cause damage, or even a well meaning employee who clicked the wrong link and let an attacker in. Next is we have the occurrence of cyber threats. So this slide focuses on when, how often, and where attackers are happening. So first is we have the frequency of cyber attack. Cyber attacks are increasingly frequent, with reports indicating a significant rise in incidents year over year. Organizations must remain vigilant and proactive in their defenses to combat this trend. So, the first point on frequency confirms what many of us suspect. Attacks are happening more and more often. The number of security incidents is growing every year, which means the problem is getting bigger, not smaller. Next is we have the trends over the past decade. Over the past decade, the nature of cyber threats have evolved, with attackers becoming more sophisticated and organized. Trends indicate a shift towards targeted attacks and the use of advanced technologies. So the second point state trends. It looks at how things have changed. A decade ago, many attackers were just individuals. Now, they are often highly organized groups. They have become more professional and use better technology, shifting from random attack to a very specific, targeted operations against high value na mga target. Lastly, is we have the sector-specific vulnerabilities. Different sectors face unique vulnerabilities based on their operations and data sensitivity. For instance, healthcare and finance are often targeted due to the value of the data they handle, necessitating tailored security measures. So lastly, it states the sector specific. So it explains that not everyone faces the same risk. Different industries have different problems. For example, a hospital or a healthcare is a major target because patient medical records are very valuable. Next is a bank, or in terms of finance, they are also a target for obvious reason. So these sectors have to build special defenses tailored to their unique risk. So we have the impact of cyber attack, understanding the consequences. So this slide answers the so what question. What actually happens when an attack is successful? The consequences or impact are huge and go far beyond just a computer problem. First is we have the financial losses. Cyber attacks can result in substantial financial losses for organizations, including costs associated with recovery, legal fees, and potential fines. The economic impact can be devastating, particularly for small businesses. So the first and most obvious impact is financial losses because the company has to spend money to fix the system. They might have to pay fines and could be sued. So pwede sila kasuhan if ever namugawas ang mga data na very secure dapat. Especially itong mga private na mga information. Next is we have the reputation damage. The fallout from a cyber attack can severely damage an organization's reputation, leading to loss of customer trust and loyalty. Rebuilding a tarnished reputation can take years and require significant investment. So, second and just as important is the reputation damage. So, if a company loses all its customer data, people will stop trusting it. That loss of trust and customer loyalty can be even more damaging than the initial financial cost. It can take years to rebuild a good reputation. Next is we have the operational disruption. Cyber incidents can disrupt business operations, leading to downtime and loss of productivity. This disruption can have cascading effects on supply chain and customer service. So when we say operational disruption, it means that the business will simply has to stop working. If a ransomware attack locks up all the computers, employees cannot do their job. This leads to downtime, lost productivity, and unhappy customers who cannot get the service they need. Lastly, is we have the legal implications. Organizations may face legal consequences following a cyber attack, including lawsuits and regulatory penalties. Compliance with data protection laws is critical to mitigating this risk. So finally, there are legal implications. Many countries have laws that require companies to protect data. If a company fails to do this, it can face massive fines from the government and lawsuits from the people whose data was stolen. Next is we have the case study of major cyber incidents. So this slide makes the threat feel real by looking at famous case studies or real world examples of major attacks. These stories show us what can go wrong and what we can learn. First is we have the WannaCry ransom attack. So the WannaCry attack in 2017 affected hundreds of thousands of computers worldwide, exploiting a vulnerability in Windows. It highlighted the importance of timely software updates and patch management. So the WannaCry attack was a huge ransomware incident that spread across the globe. Its main lesson was the critical importance of keeping your software updated. The attack worked by using a weakness that a software update or patch had already fixed, but many people had not installed it. Next is we have the Equifax data breach. The Equifax data breach exposed sensitive personal information of approximately 147 million individuals, underscoring the need for robust data protection measures and incident response plan. So the Equifax data breach was shocking because Equifax is a company that handles almost everyone's financial data. Attackers stole the personal information of 147 million people. This taught us how vital it is to have strong protections for sensitive data and a clear plan for what to do when a breach happens. Next is we have the Target data breach. The Target breach in 2013 compromised credit card information of millions of customers, revealing vulnerabilities in third-party vendor management and the importance of network security. So, the Target data breach was different. Attackers got into Target's network by first breaking into a third-party company that managed their air conditioning. So this showed how a company's security is only as strong as its weakness na mga link, including the security of its partner. Lastly, we have the analysis of impact. So each of these incidents provides valuable lessons on the importance of cybersecurity preparedness, response strategies, and the need for continuous improvement in security practices. So the slide concludes that we must analyze these events to learn from them. They all teach us valuable lessons about being prepared, having a good response plan, and always working to get better at security. Next is we will tackle the security frameworks and standard. So, after seeing the damage what an attack can do, this slide shows us how organizations can build a strong, organized defense. They don't have to guess what to do. They can use frameworks and standards, which are essentially expert created instruction manuals for security. First is we have the NIST cybersecurity framework. So the NEST cybersecurity framework provides a comprehensive approach to managing cybersecurity risks, emphasizing the importance of identifying, protecting, detecting, responding, and recovering from cyber incidents. So the first one mentioned among the cybersecurity frameworks and standard is the NEST cybersecurity framework. So this is a very popular guide made by the US government. So it gives companies a clear 5-step process. First is to identify the risk. Next, protect your system. Then detect when something bad happened. Respond to the attack. And lastly is to recover your system afterward. And then the second one is the ISO IEC 27001. So ISO IEC 27001 is an international standard for information security management system, providing a systematic approach to managing sensitive company information and ensuring data security. So the second one is an international standard. Think of it as a set of rules that if a company follows them all, can earn them an official certificate. So this certificate proves to their customer and partners that they are serious about managing and protecting the information. And then lastly, the importance of compliance. Adhering to established frameworks and standards is crucial for organizations to demonstrate their commitment to cybersecurity and to ensure they meet regulatory requirements and industry best practices. So, the slide explains that the importance of compliance. When we say compliance, it means that we are following the rules. By using these frameworks, companies show that they are committed to being secure. It also helps them obey any laws about data protection, which can save them from legal trouble. And then next is we have the risk management in cybersecurity. So this slide explains a case strategy called risk management. So instead of just waiting for an attack to happen, this is a proactive approach, which means being prepared ahead of time. It's about thinking what could go wrong and what's the best way to handle it. First is we have identifying risks. Effective risk management begins with identifying potential risks and vulnerabilities within an organization's systems and processes. This involves conducting thorough assessments and audits to uncover weaknesses. So, the process starts with identifying risks. So, this is like walking around your house and looking for unlocked windows or weak doors. So in cybersecurity, this means searching for weaknesses in your software, network, and even in your employee practices. Once you have all the list of your weaknesses, you must then move to assessing vulnerabilities. So, once these are identified, organizations must assess their vulnerabilities to determine the potential impact and likelihood of exploitation. This assessment informs prioritization and resource allocation for mitigation efforts. So, accessing vulnerabilities means that you cannot fix everything at once. So, you have to decide Which problem is the most dangerous? A weak password on a test server isn't as bad as a weak password on the main customer database. So this step helps you prioritize what to fix first. And then lastly is we have the mitigation strategy. This is developing and implementing mitigation strategies, which is essential for reducing the likelihood and impact of cyber incidents. This may include technical controls, employee training, and incident response planning. So finally, after identifying the risks and then assessing the vulnerabilities, you need to create a mitigation strategies. So this is the plan for fixing the problem. Mitigation just means reducing the risk. So this plan could involve technical fixes like installing a firewall, training employees to spot phishing, or creating a good backup plan. Next is we have the emerging technologies in cybersecurity. So this slide looks to the future, showing us the new tools and ideas that are changing how we fight cyber threats. These are the emerging technologies. First is we have the AI and machine learning. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are revolutionizing cybersecurity by enabling organizations to detect and respond to threats in real time. These technologies can analyze vast amounts of data to identify patterns and anomalies. So first is we have the AI and machine learning in terms of emerging technologies. So AI, or artificial intelligence, allows computer to learn. In cybersecurity, this is incredibly useful. An AI can watch all the activity on a network, learn what normal looks like, and instantly spot abnormal behavior that might be an attack, all much faster than a human could. Next is we have the blockchain technology. Blockchain technology offers a decentralized approach to data security, enhancing transparency and trust in transaction. Its immutable nature can help prevent data tampering and fraud. So second is the blockchain technology. You may have heard of this from Bitcoin. In security, its main feature is that it's a decentralized and immutable log. This means information is stored in many places at once, and once something is written down, it can't be changed. This is great for preventing fraud or proving that data hasn't been tampered with. Lastly is we have the zero trust architecture. Zero trust architecture is a security model that assumes no user or device can be trusted by default, requiring continuous verification and authentication. This approach enhances security in increasingly complex environment. So, when we say zero trust architecture, this is a security idea, not just a single technology. The old idea was trust but verify. However, ang new idea is never trust, always verify. It means that even if a computer is inside the company network, it's not automatically trusted. It must prove its identity and authorization every single time. It tries to access anything, which makes security much tighter. Next is the role of government in cybersecurity. So this slide explains that cybersecurity isn't just a job for companies. Government plays a huge and necessary role. First is we have the regulatory framework. Government plays a crucial role in establishing regulatory frameworks that set standards for cybersecurity practices across industry. These regulations help ensure that organizations prioritize security and protect sensitive data. So, one of the main rules of the government is to create regulatory framework. These are the laws and rules that force company to take security seriously. For example, a law might say that any company handling customer data must use encryption and report any data breaches or else face a large fine. Next is we have the public-private partnership. Collaboration between government agencies and private sector organizations is essential for sharing threat intelligence and resources. Public-private partnerships enhance the overall cybersecurity posture of nations. So another key role of the government is a public-private partnership. This means in the public sector is the government and in the private sectors are the company, and they are working together as a team. The government might have information about a new threat from another country, and they can share that information with companies so they can protect themselves. In return, companies can share what they are seeing with the government. Lastly, is we have the international cooperation. Cybersecurity is a global challenge that requires international cooperation to address cross-border threats. Collaborative efforts among nations are vital for developing effective strategies and responses to cyber incidents. So, when we say international cooperation, this is a very essential part of the government. Cybercrime doesn't stop at borders. An attacker in one country can easily attack a victim in another country. This means that a single country cannot solve the problem alone. Nations must work together to track down criminals, share threat warning, and agree on basic rules for behavior in cyberspace. Next is we have the cybersecurity awareness and training. So this slide focuses on one of the most important and often overlooked parts of security, the human element. First is we have the importance of employee training. Employees are often the first line of defense against cyber threats. Comprehensive training programs equip them with the knowledge and skills needed to recognize and respond to potential threats effectively. So the first point stresses or highlight the importance of employee training. A company can buy the most expensive security software in the world, but if it wouldn't work if an employee is tricked into giving away their password. That is why employees are called the first line of defense because good training teaches them what to look for and how to react safely. Next is we have the best practices for awareness program. Effective awareness programs should include regular training sessions, updates on emerging threats, and practical exercises to reinforce learning. Engaging employees through interactive content enhances retention and applications. So the second point discusses best practices for this training. It is not enough to have a single training session once a year. To be effective, training must be regular, include updates on the newest scam, and be interactive. People learn better when they are engaged, not just listening to a lecture. Lastly is the phishing simulations. Conducting phishing simulations allow organizations to test employees' responses to simulated attacks, providing valuable insights into their awareness and readiness to handle real threats. So, a great example of this is the phishing simulations in order for the employees to have an awareness. So, this is a practice test. The company's security team will send a fake phishing email to all employees to see who clicks it. The employees who click the link don't get in trouble. Instead, they get a pop-up that explains the mistake and provide helpful tips. This is a very effective way to test and improve everyone's awareness. Next is the incident response and recovery. So this slide is about what to do when an attack happens. So this is about preparing for the inevitable. It tells us that no one is perfectly safe, so you must have a plan for when things go wrong. First is we have developing an incident response plan. An effective incident response plan outlines the procedures and protocols for responding to cyber incidents. It should be regularly updated and tested to ensure its effectiveness in real world scenarios. So, when we say incident response plan, so the first point is to develop. This is a written down step by step guide. It answers questions like, who do you call first? How do you stop the attack from spreading? When do you tell your customer? So this plan needs to be tested and practiced, just like a fire drill. Second is we have the steps in incident plan. Incident management involves several key steps, including preparation, detection, containment, eradication, recovery, and post-incident analysis. Each step is critical for minimizing damage and restoring normal operation. So the second point outlines the steps in incident management. So this is the plan in action. It starts with detection, finding the problem. Next is the containment, removing or stopping it from spreading like closing a door. Eradication, removing the threat like a virus. And recovery, getting everything back to normal. And then lastly is we have the post-incident analysis. Conducting a thorough post-incident analysis allow organizations to learn from incidents, identify weaknesses, and improving their incident response strategies for the future. So finally, and very importantly, is the post-incident analysis. After the crisis is over and everyone can breathe, you must sit down and figure out exactly what happened. How did they get in? What did we do well? What did we do poorly? The goal is to learn from the mistake so it doesn't happen again. So, we have here the future trends in cybersecurity. So this slide is all about looking ahead to what is next. The world of cybersecurity changes very quickly. The first point we have here is to predict threats. As technology continues to evolve, so too the threats that organizations face. Emerging trends indicate a rise in sophisticated attacks, including those leveraging artificial intelligence and automations. So, the first point, predicted threats, tells us that just as our technology gets better, so do the attackers. We can expect to see attackers using AI to make their attacks more effective and automated. Next is we have the evolution of cybersecurity technologies. Cybersecurity technologies are constantly evolving to keep pace with emerging threats. Innovations such as advanced threat detection, automated response system, and enhanced encryption methods are becoming increasingly important. So, of course, our cybersecurity technologies are evolving too. This is the good news. We are developing our own AI to automatically detect and stop attacks, creating stronger encryption and building smarter systems that can respond to threats in real time without needing a human to be there. And then lastly, the role of quantum computing. Quantum computing has the potential to revolutionize cybersecurity, offering unprecedented processing power. However, it also possesses new challenges, particularly in terms of encryption and data security. So the last point is the quantum computing. It is a huge, game-changing idea. Quantum computers are a new type of computer that will be millions of times more powerful than anything we have today. This is both good and bad. They will be powerful enough to break all of our current encryption, which is a massive challenge. At the same time, they will also allow us to create new quantum proof encryption that is much stronger. This will be a major revolution in security, is we shall have the cybersecurity in the IoT era. So this slide focuses on a specific modern challenge in the IoT era. So again, IoT stands for Internet of Things. So this refers to all the new smart devices that are connected to the internet, like smart TV, smart speakers, security cameras, and even smart refrigerator. First is we have the challenges of IoT security. So the proliferation of IoT devices introduces new security challenges, including inadequate security measures, lack of standardization, and the potential for large-scale attack on interconnected systems. So the first point explains the challenges. So because there are billions of these devices, they can create new problems. Many of them are built to be cheap, not secure. They often come with simple, easy to guess password, for example, admin, and are rarely updated, making them a huge target for attackers. Next is the case studies of IoT vulnerabilities, examining real-world cases studies of IoT vulnerabilities reveals the potential risks associated with connected devices, emphasizing the need for robust security measures in IoT deployments. So the second point is the case study. It refers to real world examples where attackers or hackers have taken control of thousands of these devices at once. They can use them to spy on people or to launch massive DDoS attacks. And then lastly, the best practices for IoT security. Implementing best practices for IoT security includes ensuring strong authentication, regular software updates, and network segmentation to mitigate risks associated with connected devices. So, finally, the best practices or solutions. So, to stay safe, we need to make sure these devices have strong or unique password. We need to update their software regularly, and it is a good idea to put them on a separate Wi-Fi network. So if one is hacked, it can't access your more important computers. The human factor in cybersecurity. So this slide brings us to a topic we touched on earlier. This is about people. So it's called the human factor because humans are often the weakest link. but also the strongest defense. So first is we have the psychology of cyber threats. Understanding the psychology behind cyber threats is essential for developing effective security measures. Attackers often exploit human emotions, such as fear and curiosity, to manipulate individuals into making poor decisions. So the first point, it states psychology explains why phishing and other tricks work so well. Because attackers use human emotions like fear. Example, your account has been locked. In terms of curiosity, you won't believe this picture of you. And then in terms of urgency, you must pay this bill now. These emotions make us panic and make bad decisions. Next is social engineering tactics. Social engineering tactics leverage psychological manipulation to deceive individuals into divulging sensitive information. Awareness of these tactics is crucial for preventing successful attacks. The second point, social engineering tactics, is the name for these tricks. We learned about this earlier as an attack vector. It is an act of manipulating people to get information. By understanding that these tactics exist, we are less likely to fall for them. Lastly, is building a security culture. Fostering a security culture within an organization involves promoting awareness, encouraging reporting of suspicious activities, and integrating security practices into daily operations. So, the final point, building a security culture, is the solution. This is about making security a part of everyone's job, not just the IT department. It is about creating an environment where employees feel comfortable reporting something suspicious without fear of getting in trouble. When everyone cares about security and works together, the whole organizations become much safer. Next is the global cybersecurity initiatives. So, this slide expands on the idea of international cooperations that we have seen in the previous slide. So, first is the UN initiative. So, the United Nations has established various initiatives aimed at enhancing global cybersecurity, including frameworks for cooperation and capacity building among member states to address cyber threats collectively. So, the first thing over here that we have seen is the word initiative. So, this is a big organized plan to get things done. The first example is the UN initiative. So the United Nations, which include almost every country in the world, is working to create frameworks for countries to cooperate. These include helping developing nations build up their own cybersecurity defenses so they won't become safe havens for cyber criminals. Next is the EU cybersecurity strategies. The European Union has implemented a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy that includes regulations, directives, and initiatives to strengthen the security of networks and information system across member states. So the second example is the European Union that has taken this very seriously. They have created strong regulations that all member of the countries must follow. This help create a single, strong standard for security and data protection across all Europe. Lastly is the regional cooperation effort. It is among countries that are essential for addressing cross-border cyber threats. Collaborative initiatives enhance information sharing and collective responses to cyber incidents. So, the slide mentions regional cooperation. This highlights that even outside of big groups like the UN and EU, neighboring countries are getting together to share threat information and work on joint responses. Since attacks are global, the defense must be global too. Measuring cybersecurity effectiveness. So, this slide answers a very important question. How do we know if we are doing a good job? It is not enough to just buy security tools. You have to measure if they are actually working. First is we have the key performance indicator. Establishing key performance indicators is essential for measuring the effectiveness of cybersecurity initiative. KPIs provide quantifiable metrics that help organizations assess their security posture. So the first point is key performance indicator or KPIs. These are just like the numbers on a report card. They are specific, measurable numbers that tell you how you are doing. For example, a KPI might be reduce the number of successful phishing attacks by 50%. And the next is we have the metrics for success. Metrics for success should encompass various aspects of cybersecurity, including incident response times, the number of detected threats, and employees' training effectiveness, enabling organizations to identify areas for improvement. Metrics for success are the specific things you measure to calculate your KPIs. Example of metrics include how long does it take us to notice an attack? How many attacks did we block this month? Or what percentage of employees failed the phishing simulation test? So these numbers shows you where you are strong and where you need to improve. Lastly, is the continuous improvement. Cybersecurity is an ongoing process that requires continuous improvement. Organizations must regularly review and update their security measures based on evolving threats and lessons learned from incidents. So, this all leads to the final, most important point, which is the continuous improvement. Cybersecurity is not a project you can finish. It's a process that never ends. The threats are always evolving, so your defenses must evolve too. You must constantly measure, review, and update your security to safety.